Alright, Trial Mob, I should call this episode the fan favorite episode because everything that we will be touching upon are basically some of the most popular characters from their respective IPs, and it's going to be a badass video today. So let me go ahead and break these guys down for you and show you what we have in store. Alright, let's get it. Alright, Trial Mob, and to start everything off, we are going to be getting a new Batman from the Mafex series. This is going to be from his movie called Hush, where he is in the stealth jumper suit. Now, I've never seen Hush before, so I couldn't tell you what exactly this is from in terms of, you know, what this has to do with the actual show itself, or should I say the movie itself. But regardless, it's a badass looking piece. Mafex has really good figures. I've bought a few before, and I do think that they do an overall better job of capturing the physical qualities of figures, of how they look like from their respective source material. And this definitely looks like it jumped out of the screen of whatever it is it's based on. I think that this looks obviously really badass. I love all the details that we see on it, and we get a really nice, like one of the best looking cloth capes that I've ever seen on this style of figure. Here we do get a better shot of that beautiful, I mean, look at it. It's basically folded around the shoulders and then goes backwards. This is what I wanted on the He-Man Skeletor figure that we didn't get, or should I say that I didn't buy because I hated the fact that the cape looked like ass. But of course, this right here is a almost $100 figure, so they have more money to be able to do things like that. But damn, did they really put some money down on this cloth cape, because again, the blue, the way it looks, how it matches the rest of the figure itself, the shading that you can see. There's a lot going on here to make this figure look just absolutely phenomenal. Now, Mafex is no chump when it comes to being able to pose your characters, and as you can see here, you can get into some really dynamic posing. I really like everything I'm seeing here, from the textures, should I say the perceived textures and rivets, to some of the portions of the figure itself, or where the articulation is located, how they're able to hide some of that and make it look nice and clean. And then, of course, I'm going to make the prediction here that that cape is most likely wired. So you can go ahead and post it up like this, and that's just phenomenal to be able to have on your figure. Like I said, a lot of people don't do it the right way, or you'll get like a hard cape, and it's always nice to see cloth goods, especially when they're done what looks like relatively really high quality. Now, obviously, this is Batman, so he is going to come with a few accessories. So in this photo, we are able to see, again, that nice, beautiful flowing cape, a little bit more articulation, and then he has that Batarang in his right hand. So I'm sure he does come with other things as well, but I haven't necessarily seen a photo, so maybe I'll have to cover this later on an update. But yeah, he will come with other weapons, because I mean, it's Batman. He's got to have a few more weapons on him. So again, badass figure overall. I'm not sure if I want this one specifically from the Hush. I've seen a lot of stuff from the Hush series that Mafex is covering. I don't know if this is necessarily the one that I want, but it looks badass, and who knows, maybe I'll cave and buy. Now, switching over to Figma, we do get Lady Maria from Bloodborne, specifically the I believe this is from the DLC called something along the lines of the Astro Clock Tower. Now, I could be incorrect. If you guys know a little bit better, go ahead and let me know. But this is a really badass looking figure. I've never played Bloodborne before, but I have always liked the aesthetic and some of the things that they have. And from my understanding, this is a DLC boss that a lot of people really like, because the comment section was going crazy when I saw the posts on Instagram. So again, this is a really cool feature. Now, I lost the photo and I couldn't find it, but if you have currently the Bloodborne figure, the Hunter, this Lady Maria towers over him by a sizable amount. This is not a small Figma figure. Now, I'm not quite sure how accurate any of this is, but Figma does an absolutely great job of capturing a lot of a lot of the accuracy from the source material itself. So I believe this is one of the weapons that she does have. She has a gun in her other hand. She has, you know, rips and rivets and all kinds of detail on her. Figma always knocks out of the park, and this right here is just another exercise for them to show just how obviously in condition they are to make figures that are of this high caliber and this high quality. Even if this isn't exactly what she looks like, let's pretend that maybe this is kind of incorrect, it looks absolutely great. So for me, this is definitely going to be a must buy if you're into this, into Bloodborne. I'm not, so I'm kind of on the fence of trying to pick this one up, but I really like the aesthetic overall. Now, Figma doesn't always have necessarily the best articulation, but as you can tell, you can get her into a lot of posing. I'm not exactly quite sure how much she's supposed to be able to be posable. I've seen a couple of videos and she looks rather stiff in the show itself, or should I say the video game itself. So I imagine this is everything you need. I kind of wish Figma did more cloth stuff. I feel like they would be benefiting the consumer and themselves, especially at the price point, if we got more cloth goods, or maybe leather goods, because I imagine she's supposed to be wearing like a leather cape. However, even though we don't normally get cloth goods, the one thing that we do get is options. So there's usually a regular option and the DX Deluxe option. So if you're just buying the regular Lady Maria, this is what she comes with: 2 swords, her gun, and multiple hands. And of course, this is the deluxe version right here, where she comes with, it looks like a sheath for her sword. Everything else is about the same, but then on top of that, she also gets a chair that I believe is the chair she's sitting on when you first meet this character. And she comes basically with a whole nother lower body where you can connect the boots and the upper body too, so that you can go ahead and get the look that you want of her sitting in the chair. So that's really badass. I definitely wouldn't buy the deluxe version. Those specific things I don't care about, but just the regular one I would most likely buy if I end up going through with it. Now, Trial Mob, this right here is the big news for me personally. So if you know me, I've always been a Transformers fan. I've been a Transformers fan since the late 90s, which is when I first got introduced to them. I've always loved this kind of stuff. And there's a brand called 3Zero. They have a DLX line of figures. They're made out of die cast and they're absolutely massive. I bought an Optimus Prime and he was about 14 inches tall. He was huge, and while I thought that's what I wanted, when I actually had it in hand, I realized that it's just a lot of toy and it's just not my kind of thing. And I know that Optimus Prime is supposed to be a little bigger, so that's the case, but here we're getting a Transformers Bumblebee, which is one of their smaller figures, but also the MDLX line is a smaller line of figure. So I believe the regular Bumblebee is about 9 inches tall, give or take. Well, the MDLX, being the smaller figure, is actually going to run you about 5.25 inch tall. So that Lady Maria that I just showed you guys a second ago is probably just the slightest bit taller than this. Now, the price point is about $60. And the reason why I say that it's still worth it is that all of the other 3Zero stuff is in the $100 range. I wouldn't even say 100, like 120 plus. I believe I got the Optimus Prime for about $150. So this is a very reasonable price. And one of the things that they're known for is incredible articulation, which is awesome. But on top of that, they're also made out of die cast and other harder materials. So you get a lot of metal here. So if you like Transformers and you want something that feels like a legit Transformer, this is going to be made out of that correct material to give you that. Now, of course, it has to come with a few weapons as well, and as you can tell, it does come with its gun right there. And one of the things that I really like is that, so these don't transform, which, you know, it could be a plus or a minus. For me, it's a plus because they don't have to make any sacrifices in how good the mold looks, and trust me, I think this looks good. But this is a good mix between like a classical look and a more modern look of how they look today, and I think that this is just rubs a sweet spot for any kind of Transformers fans that doesn't necessarily care about a transforming robot, but more so having just the robot itself look really nice, because this just looks really good. Now, again, posability is going to be a big factor here, and at this size, it looks like you can get everything that you want out of it. He can cross his arms across his chest to grab his gun with both hands, or at least kind of cup it. The legs, there's a plenty of articulation. Again, there's going to be die cast here, and it's about 5 inches tall, which is the sweet spot for this kind of stuff, because Optimus Prime is going to be bigger, and if they make him, he'll be about 8 inches tall, which again is absolutely doable. That's definitely something that you can, for a lot of us, especially for a lot of you guys that are at the 1/18 scale stuff, this more, and I wouldn't say that this is 1/12 scale, but it is 6 inches tall, right? So when we're talking about that general scale, this is going to be exactly what you want to get into with base scaling here. So I'm buying this for sure. I already put in the pre-order. I will be buying this one, and hopefully, thanks to the cheaper price and the accessibility, we get others from this exact same wave, because I would love to get another Optimus Prime. Now, if you are a fan of Tekken 7, we are getting the King action figure. So I almost stopped with the Tekken line because I just wasn't sure if I was into Tekken. I thought that they were really cool. I liked them better than what Storm Collectibles is doing with the Mortal Kombat stuff, because they're going for a lot of the classical stuff. But seeing this King and the fucking is it a cheetah head, and just the overall aesthetic, and this guy is absolutely massive, I was like, man, I'm hooked. All right, so now I gotta go back and buy some of the other Tekken stuff that I haven't bought before. But this King just looks really dope. Couple effect pieces, couple of hands, really cool stuff. If you have any of the other Storm Collectibles Tekken stuff, King is without a doubt physically one of the largest ones that they've had before. He is a wrestler, so he's gonna have a big body, and he definitely comes with a big body. And I've always liked the cheetah motif that he's got going on, and just the overall aesthetic. I think it looks good. This doesn't necessarily showcase the articulation, but it does just showcase the overall body, and again, just a large boy. The cape itself is most likely going to be a rubbery plastic that's very malleable, which is nice. And the King insignia on the back with all the other little decals. I shouldn't even say the decals because those are probably sculpted in. They look good. It looks absolutely good. I've never really played Tekken, and the few times that I did, he didn't have his cape, so I wasn't even aware that he had one until I saw this. But again, just a good look overall, very regal looking, and I enjoy that. Now, he does come with an effect piece, and I believe this is the only effect piece that he comes with, but it looks good. It looks like what it's supposed to look like. Again, I don't quite remember what this is supposed to be, but it looks perfectly fine to me. And I love the legs, man. Look at the armor around the legs. They did a really good job of making this guy look badass. And then I think this right here is a better showcase of the articulation. As you can tell, he can get a side kick that goes up really far, but that also kind of shows us how far he could go into the splits, which again is nice. And then the overall articulation, if you guys know Storm Collectibles, they do a great job. The whole body is basically made out of like a soft rubber, so the skeleton under it is usually not hindered by what would normally hinder more harder plastic figures. So again, this is probably going to be highly articulated, even though he's a bulkier character. And I just have a thing for just bulkier characters, as long as you're not like fucking 20 inches tall, because that's just really hard to deal with. But for me, I think that this is already or actually I shouldn't even lie to you guys, this is on pre-order, so hopefully this is something that you guys like too, because I would love to get your guys' insight on what you think about King and how accurately this was represented. Right?